Hey everybody, my name is Rydo, and today we are going to be announcing my game of the year for 2015 and mostly just reviewing what I did in 2015. So I'm going to bring up here a Google Sheet program that I have set up that has a collection of almost all the games that I have recorded. Uh, I started according to this sheet, on 11/27 in 2014, doing the series The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, and then eventually did the Talos Principle and the FTL Faster Than Light, all of which everything else kind of started in 2015, except for FTL. So, in theory, the Talos Principle is eligible for Game of the Year. Portal 1 is eligible. Portal 2 is eligible. I consider all of those Series 1 of my channel. FTL and The Binding of Isaac Rebirth isn't. Bastion is. The Stanley Parable. Plague Inc. Evolved. The Witcher 3. Plants vs. Zombies Game of the Year. Back to the Future. Overlord, the DLC to Overlord, Overlord Raising Hell, is eligible. Tomb Raider, the reboot of 2013, is eligible. Grow Home, Antichamber, Laura Croft, and the Guardian of Light. Hearthstone is eligible because I have been releasing Hearthstone in the year of 2015, even though it is the uh, game that never stops, as it is my vlog series where I talk about what's going on my channel and such. But I certainly played it in 2015 a lot, and it did pretty good about their added on solo adventures and expansion packs. The Walking Dead Season 2 is eligible. That The Walking Dead Season 1 is also eligible. It's just missing from this list. I must have made a mistake there, or probably uh, just changed this entry from The Walking Dead to The Walking Dead Season 2 after a while. The Wolf Among Us is eligible. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter and The Vanishing of Ethan Carter Redux, which was the quickly made remake of the game in Unreal Engine 4. And then the last few games that are still coming out, we have Sam & Max Save the World, Deus Ex The Fall, Deus Ex Human Revolution Director's Cut, Child of Light, and Hearthstone again. Yeah, I started breaking up the groups of Hearthstone episodes I upload. Contrast and DMC Devil May Cry. Those are all eligible. There are some other games on this list if you want to see spoilers for what I'm planning on recording and releasing in the future. You can see there are several more games in our Series 5, Series 6, and Series 7, which I am releasing. Also, I guess I would say Lego Star Wars is eligible because it started in 2015, and that was a late entry to my series to release that. So in total, if we select all of these, I believe that is about 30 or 28, I'd say maybe, games that are eligible to be Game of the Year. Now, in consideration, I for this year had to, just for financial reasons, buy a lot of old games. You can see the only games that were new in 2015 I played were the Talos Principle and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and let's see, was there anything else? Oh yes, Tales from the Borderlands and the Game of Thrones, both of which were new games that I didn't even get on this list. Obviously, my list is not perfect. Uh, Probably some other games too that I've totally missed. But to my recollection, that's four games that were new. And then there was a lot of old games that I was covering to re-educate people about older games. Also, since we have games like Rise of the Tomb Raider come out, it makes sense for me to cover Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light and Tomb Raider 2013 reboot, which is Tomb Raider 2013 is the direct prequel to Rise of the Tomb Raider. So if you are thinking about buying a new game, it makes sense for me and it's financially beneficial to me to cover the old versions. And that's what I chose to do in 2015. I am still mostly planning on doing that in 2016. Hopefully by 2017 I will be financially so stable that I can play all of the new games. I'm even hoping that maybe around the Christmas October timeline of 2016 I'll start being able to buy new games. I, for instance, wanted to get Fallout 4 this year, just couldn't find a enough time and money. It was half time, half money to justify purchasing that game. Next year, I'm hoping I will be able to find both of those things and purchase a game like Fallout 4 when it comes out brand new. So, if I'm going to limit myself to new games, the game of the year is, or at least it would be, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. But then there's a problem with that. That is the problem. I don't really remember much about The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. And I don't really have any interest in going back and playing it after I spent hours and hours. I believe it was somewhere around 200 hours in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I enjoyed almost every hour of it. It was a fun thing, but as a YouTuber who had to play that game in a very short amount of time, you can see it started on 5/18 and ended being aired on 9/21, 4 months later of episodes, each an hour long, every Monday through Friday. That certainly is a very long game, worth its while. Uh, Gave me some slight frustrations in a specific point about the video settings. I've had that problem with the Talos principle on my old laptop, so hopefully I'll be able to avoid any more video problems. Uh, Here you can see, I'll point out these ones and zeros mean whether it's aired on Monday or such. I haven't decided to change my schedule on any of the shows, so you can see everything is Monday through Friday, nothing is on Saturday and Sunday. Uh, for the foreseeable future, that's how my channel is going to go. So I would say Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, but I don't remember it. It was so long ago. It was 7 months ago that I started playing it, and 3 months ago that I stopped playing it. And this is the problem with Game of the Years, inevitably, is that the newest game is the game that gets rated higher. So that might point me more towards Lego Star Wars, which isn't even a new game. Or it might point me to Tales from the Borderlands or Game of Thrones. Well, I can tell you right now, Tales from the Borderlands and Game of Thrones both were not fun experiences for me because I had to wait so long between each episode. I'm frustrated with Telltale Games and their episodic releases and will not buy any of their new games until all 5 episodes or all of the episodes are already released. That way I can play an entire game in a realistic short amount of time. So I wouldn't hand it to that. Now, I don't think would hand it to the Talos Principle, which is a fine game and I enjoyed it quite a lot. It's just, it's not something that most people are going to fall in love with and want to go back and play. Both the Talos Principle and The Witcher 3 had DLC released. I did not opt to buy either one of them. Playing the Talos Principle pointed me to playing Portal 1 and Portal 2, which are much better games. So I, in the second reason, could not justify playing, uh, granting the Talos Principle Game of the Year status because Portal and Portal 2 are better games, and uh, by far. The Stanley Parable probably wouldn't do it. Plague Inc. Evolved, we played a lot of it, but it's doesn't have a broad enough appeal. It doesn't have enough game mechanics. Plants vs Zombies Game of the Year is pretty fun, but it's forgettable. Back to the Future is an alright game, but it wouldn't win. Overlord has some problems. Overlord Raising Hell has some major problems. I wouldn't want to do that. I did Gone Home. Let's see, when is Gone Home released? And that was a great game. And Grow Home was a great game. And I did those two pretty close together, so I confused the two. But I wouldn't really say either one of them are long enough or intrinsic enough to be Game of the Year. Antichamber is a good puzzle game. Again, not long enough, not complicated enough. The Walking Dead. If it was a couple years ago, I would give The Walking Dead 1 Game of the Year. Season 2, not so much. Hearthstone did make some major improvements, but I still wouldn't give it Game of the Year because I spent the majority of time with Hearthstone being frustrated with having to play so much Hearthstone. Their quest system requires you to play every 3 days if you want to get all the gold you can get, which is far too often for my liking. The Wolf Among Us had a bug in it, which is inexcusable considering it's a Telltale game. Otherwise, I kind of like the story. It just didn't go deep enough, and being a Telltale game, it doesn't have any real gameplay mechanics worth mentioning. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, same problem. It's a great story with way better graphics than most Telltale games. No real gameplay mechanics in it. Uh, like 5 or 8 puzzles in the entire game, and that's it. Sam and Max Save the World, okay game. It is a point and click adventure. It requires too much uh, obscure pointing and clicking, looking for very specific things. I got lost in it in several places, so I wouldn't give it game of the year. Deus Ex The Fall is a piece of garbage software. It is probably up there. Let's see. I would say Overlord Raising Hell is the worst game of the year that I played, but Deus Ex Fall is a close second. It is a cell phone game ported to the PC that was never finished, and it is the most recent Deus Ex Square Enix game made. So when Deus Ex Mankind Divided comes out, remember, Human Revolution was not their most recent game. Deus Ex The Fall was, and it was terrible, and it's unfinished. And remember that before you pre-order. Of course, Deus Ex's pre-order, augment your pre-order system, is an interesting story in itself if you don't know about that. And it eventually ended up with Mankind Divided being pushed very far and very late into 2016, and it wouldn't surprise me if it gets pushed even further. Deus Ex Human Revolution, would I make that my game of the year? No, I cannot say I would. It is a game that's too long and too repetitive, particularly the director's cut. It was too long in its original version, forcing in a whole DLC section right in the middle of the game uh, is just makes it worse. Child of Light, no, absolutely not would I say Child of Light is a good game, even a good game, let alone Game of the Year. It's an RPG system game where you can fly almost from the very beginning. so you can reach all the areas, but it has a terrible time-based attack system, turn-based attack system that makes it really difficult. All the writing is simply written as rhyming. There was no voicing in the game except for in a few small spots, and it was bad. Real bad. Not a fun experience at all. Uh, Contrast, it was a pretty good game, but it didn't have enough puzzles and it wasn't long enough. DMC Devil May Cry, would I consider that? Well, DMC is a game for Devil May Cry fans who want a new story. And I liked some of the story, and then I thought some of the story was written badly in DMC. Uh, and the levels were kind of small, and there was a reason they were small, but I was not really motivated to play any more of that game after I finished playing it. The DLC Dante's Downfall, Virgil's Downfall is what the DLC is called. That did interest me a little bit, and that was more fun to add that part. But what DMC really wants you to do is go back and play the levels over and over again, and I really have no interest in doing that. So that would be all of the games that came out, and in that thought, again, I would say The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is the new game of the year for 2015. I think I probably need to write uh, for myself saying there will be two categories here, though. The game of the year overall for 2015 has to go to a tie between Portal 1 and Portal 2. Of the 30 or so games I played in 2015, Portal 1 and Portal 2 are the only games that I chose to go back and replay for this year. Nothing else in any way even interested me in playing when I wasn't recording footage or anything. And so if you want to break the tie, I think that in a lot of ways you can't for Portal 1 and Portal 2. But if you want to break it, you would absolutely give it to Portal 2. It is a better game, it is a longer game, it is a smoother game. It by default recognizes your recognizes a gamepad controller versus having to type in console commands in Portal 1 to get it to recognize. Uh, so if you want to break the tie, do Portal 2, but you're going to be kind of lost if you don't play Portal 1. And so that's the game of the year, in my opinion. Portal 1, Portal 2, overall, of the games I played. Of course, you can see here there was a significant amount of games I didn't play. If I was going to give a game of the year to a game I didn't play, which was ridiculous, I'd probably give it to Rise of the Tomb Raider or Fallout 4. And I didn't play Rise of the Tomb Raider because it's not out on PC yet, and Fallout 4 I didn't play because it was going to take too long. It, uh, Although at this rate, as we enter the end of the year, uh, in it seems like a lot of people are now getting close to being finished with Fallout 4. That it really didn't have as much staying power as people thought it would. So that's it. Now to talk just a little bit more about our game of my year in the review. I think I have done an incredible amount of footage. It grew and it grew and it grew. I started with only one game every now and then, or every Monday through Friday. It quickly became with The Binding of Isaac in 2014. I really didn't start the channel until 2015. Then I started saying, all right, I really want to do this and try to make a career out of it. For the longest time, I was playing The Binding of Isaac and FTL. You can see here, FTL went from 1223 through 417. Binding of Isaac ended on 4/3, 2015, not 2014. There we go. I'll just fix that. Uh, so as my channel started, it was Binding of Isaac, FTL, Hearthstone for like 4 months, 5 months, and those were the only games I had any intention of playing at all because I hadn't even purchased on my new Steam account for any of these games. Uh, I was not really in the position to even think about purchasing new video games. And I got very lucky and was donated some money to purchase new games. And I got to the Steam Summer Sale. And the first Steam Summer Sale I went on, I purchased 103 pieces of games or DLC. By the Steam Autumn Sale, I had purchased 251 pieces of games or DLC. So now I am practically drowning in old games. In fact, some of the games that I've had planned on covering have now even fallen to a lower point in my list because they're so old. For example, I was going to cover the entire series of Tomb Raider, but I really don't have the time to play the original Tomb Raider 1, which is an incredibly old game. I was going to play the entire series of the Hitman series. Hitman 1 doesn't even run on modern computers, so I wouldn't be able to play that, but also I didn't have time. So as I got more games, I could expand, and I expanded eventually to 6 time slots at the end of the year. Right now, by accident, because of Lego Star Wars, I'm releasing 6 shows every Monday through Friday. Some of those shows, on occasion, have 2 episodes a day. Uh, so there probably have been a few days where I've released 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 episodes, but probably not that high. Uh, my goal is to maintain 5 time slots in 2016, every Monday through Friday. I have no real interest in releasing things on Saturday and Sunday. My thought there is that people can go back and watch things they missed on the weekends, or if I was going to start filling out a Saturday and Sunday slot, it's going to be of a different series, potentially, uh, potentially different games, maybe even a different recorder than me. If I found somebody that wanted to work with me and was trustworthy, that they would consistently make videos for free for at least 2 years every weekend. So that is certainly a tall order. If somebody wanted to play Call of Duty or Madden on Saturdays, I think that would be a fine type of game to be aired on Saturdays and Sundays. Sports games, first-person shooter games that I won't particularly play. Uh, but in 2016, my plan is to maintain 5 per day. I am working very hard to maintain that. Now, there may be circumstances that aren't very interesting that come up. There is a very decent chance that I will lose a significant amount of my free time that I have had this year. And if that occurs and I do not have enough videos pre-recorded and scheduled and ready to be released, you may see a drop in the number of series. It could potentially even drop to no series, but hopefully that wouldn't happen. It would be very unlikely, but it might happen. And so to try and make a buffer, I am playing games as fast as possible for me to be 2 months, 3 months, 4 months in advance ready and recorded for new shows. That way, any small breaks I have to take will not affect this channel. I have been very consistent. I do not believe, but maybe 2 or 3 times for the entire year, any show has aired at the wrong time or any show has not aired. Uh, I've been super consistent in the fact that I still release things on holidays such as Christmas. I feel like there is a percentage of people that would want to watch my videos on holidays like Christmas, and I shouldn't just take the break off, take that day off. If people don't want to watch it, which is probably the majority of people, they can always on the weekend come back and catch up. And I feel that does its best to help everybody. And so I don't take off Christmas, Halloween, New Year's, anything like that. Every Monday through Friday is what I say, and I mean every Monday through Friday. Uh, and I like that consistency. This year we tried to do a holiday video for all the major holidays. I think I will continue to try to do that. That is a very small project that does not get me a lot of views or attention, uh, but I feel like it's just a nice thing to do. I was able to make 2 intro videos for this channel this year. One was pretty bad, uh, pretty much just awful, what the first one was. But then the second one is a pretty nice intro, and am going to play it at the end of this video so you can see it. I like that intro. I think it's pretty solid. It has footage from most, a good amount at least, of the games I've covered in 2015, and it will be for 2017 staying as the intro. I'm not going to spend that extra effort uh, changing that up. And so I believe overall I would rate myself an A as a channel if I was to give myself letter grades, which apparently is sometimes I do. I've been very inconsistent about rating games. Some games I'll say, oh, this feels like an A. Oh, this feels like a 7 out of 10. Oh, this sounds like a 3 out of 5. The point is, there is no consistent system. Everything is unique. But I'd give myself an A for this channel, maybe A minus. Where I can see I still need to work is I have a lot of verbal tics. I've seem to be on some occasions developing a stutter where the S in my microphone seems very lispy. That's sometimes I stutter on top of lispy, being lispy too. I say a lot. I have managed not to cuss very often, which is I'm glad for that because I don't want to be one of these channels that cusses all the time. So I probably haven't said maybe 1 or 2 bad words in all of my series, and they would have been very rare, inappropriate times if I even said that many. Uh, my style of coverage has changed pretty drastically, I think, for the way it had to, and probably for the better. When I was covering the Binding of Isaac Rebirth, I was talking about everything that was going in my life. I was talking about random things. I was having some rather weird conversations. As I got into covering more and more games, it starts to be more about me staying quiet, letting the game talk for itself, letting the audio play, and just commenting on what I'm actually seeing. So I feel as a video game critic, I've gotten better about being a critic and being less of somebody who's just rambling. Uh, and it had to go that way. If you loved my conversations that I had in the Binding of Isaac Rebirth, if you thought they were funny, some of that still is going to go along in the Hearthstone series, but almost every other series doesn't reference any other games I'm covering or maybe mentions it in passing. Uh, that way, whatever I'm recording can be played at different times. It focuses on the game. It just makes commentary on the gameplay. So I'm trying to be more more professional as that, and I think I've improved there. But also, I still have a lot of work. Probably, I'm hoping eventually I will develop a better radio announcer voice. Uh, I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't like the way I sound, and right now it's mostly going to stay the way I was born with it. But I do try to emote. I do try to be positive and be up tempo and high energy when I talk, but I don't want to be insincere to such an extreme that I sound insincere either. So, I think overall I'd say my channel is an A minus maybe. Here's hoping that we become an A or A plus uh, next year. There's a lot of room to increase. My main goal for 2016 is to get more games out, possibly be 12 months in advance of recordings. If I can have a rolling 12 months in my channel, there's really nothing that could happen that would potentially mess up my channel then. If I was hit by a bus tomorrow and I had 12 months of recording, nobody would even notice that my channel had changed at all because those videos would still come out for a year. Uh, I'm not sure how far in advance you can actually schedule things on YouTube, so 12 months may actually be two more than they would actually allow, but that's my goal, is to be 12 months in advance, get a lot of games done, a lot of old games done. I'm looking at the Steam winter sale right now, and there's a increasingly small number of games that I can purchase that I don't already have. So once I cover those games that I already have, I'm not going to be spending very much on old games like I did this year, like I will continue to do next year. One of the things I did to improve this channel and learn is for 2017, looked up the release dates of important events and am going to try and play the old games closer towards those release dates. So, for example, Lego Marvel Avengers is about to come out on 1/26. Therefore, I'm going to try and get Lego Marvel Superheroes, the game before this, out fast enough for that. Dishonored 2 is supposed to come out some point in quarter 2 2016, so I need to record Dishonored 1 and have that out. Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, the movie, is coming out 3/25. So, in order to relate to that, I'm going to play Lego Batman 1 and compare that. Captain America Civil War is coming out 4/29, the movie. My plan there is to potentially use that information to release maybe Lego Marvel Superheroes if I can't squeeze it out anywhere around the time for uh, the Marvel Avengers video game. I think it would be more important and more helpful to get it out for the video game than it is to get it out for the movie. Although arguments could be made in the opposite direction. Mirror's Edge 2 is released on 5/24/2017, no, 2016, and I want to record and cover Mirror's Edge 1. I have done a spotlight of that on my old computer, and it crashed. On my new computer, shouldn't have that trouble. Ghostbusters, the movie, is going to come out 7/22/2016. I want to cover that, the Ghostbusters video game, to tie into that. And then Dead Island 2 releases sometime in 2016, and so until I get a better date, I will try and play Dead Island 1. So since I know all of these new games are coming out, I've learned that gives me some direction of what games I should play in 2016 and when they should get released. I will also be starting a series, game show series, as a bit of a cheat at 5 p.m. starting 2:05. Well, right now that is my schedule. That may change. So in February, You Don't Know Jack should start at 5 p.m. on my channel. It is a game show video game, and I'm just going to be playing that game over and over again until I feel I have exhausted almost all of the questions. That's a bit of a cheat to allow me to quickly and easily record a lot of episodes in not a lot of time and fill in a time slot and get further ahead. But it also is an opportunity for a different style of video games coverage. All people have to do with that is just watch me try to answer the questions before me and see how badly I play. So I've got a lot that I'm thinking about. If you have any comments or suggestions, let me know. I spent quite a bit of time on this Google Sheet spreadsheet. This particular sheet doesn't really integrate a ton of magic behind the scenes. It is simply some conditional formatting to change the colors and uh, some variable justification so I can't put in the wrong things. So I have a pull down menu instead of having to type in information for things like categories. There's some more stuff on the other side as far as the number of episodes, the whether it was a spotlight, whether I finished it, the episode length is something I'm starting to write down. So if I do a 30-minute episode now, I try to stay to 30 minutes. I figured out how to use OBS remote on my Android phone to watch how long I've been recording, so I can tell you it's been 36 minutes in this recording right now. Uh, and by occasionally checking to see how long I've been recording, I've gotten a lot better about the episode length. The category I'm starting to try to train myself to use so I don't end up playing the same style of games over and over again. Uh, Time slots are just dates, and start dates and end dates are just dates. There are some other things in this sheet that I am still working on. For instance, this is a auto-filling calendar where I'm sure you can't even really see what it's saying, but it is supposed to be a year long and I haven't finished it, and I really probably won't finish it because it's not as useful as I thought it was going to be. Uh, but the point here was it was supposed to fill in and show me in a calendar format all the episodes, which it's just taking this information and redecorating it. This one is kind of the opposite. This one takes information and tells me what did get released, I believe. Or maybe this one. I stopped working on those too because they're not very as useful as you want, as I thought they would be. Spent a lot of time on the sheet. The main bulk of this information is made through the very first sheet that gets information from if then that. So every time I release a new video, it is tweeted out to Twitter, and it takes all my Twitter tweets, and puts them in a row here. And that, with almost 100% accuracy, sometimes it messes up, tells me exactly every episode that comes out and when. So, for instance, if I wanted to know when Lego Star Wars Episode 30 came out, I know it is at 2. Uh, yeah, they don't even want me to change it. Never mind. Uh, I have protection on this just to be sure of it. So, at 2 o'clock, according to its time, which is actually in the wrong time zone, it's telling me on the 25th that came out. It didn't come out at 2 o'clock in my time zone. And here's the whole uh, Twitter tweet that was sent. And here is a link to that Twitter tweet if I ever want to go back and check it. I've also gotten into the habit on the weekends to going back and liking my old videos, trying to put them on my liked videos format and possibly re-promote them. YouTube doesn't have a good system where you can re-promote old videos and convince people to try and look them up. So I'm still open to suggestions and trying to figure out ways to improve that. So again, if you have anything in the comments that might help, that will be why. You can see that there have been 12,066 tweets in this uh, file. It's probably been more than that because I've started making this file somewhere in the middle of the year. I have right now, as far as videos, over 2,000 videos on my YouTube channel. Now, that is certainly a huge problem because I have none of those backed up at any local source. So if my video or YouTube decided to delete all of those, I would never see them again, which would be a big uh, problem. Hopefully, in 2016, I could start to think about being able to afford to buy like a 5 terabyte hard drive every month and filling it up with just video. But that's a lot of money, and that's uh, a lot of hard drives that I would have to use. Okay, so that's going to be it for this recording. I have in this year created a good ending. Stay at the end and watch uh, my intro video because I'm proud of that. I spent a lot of work on that, even though it may not look like it as much as you would think. Uh, so I end all my episodes the same way. I ask you to like this video, and I am asking you to like this video. I ask you to share it with your friends. I ask you to comment if you want to. Oh, I guess I should say, as far as the financials on this channel, since I am open about that, I've almost made in 1 year's effort of doing this $50. Technically, you don't get paid until you have $100 from YouTube. But so if you are thinking about being a YouTuber, uh, any job you do for even like one day would pay you more. You have to really love games. You have to be willing to work on your business nonstop. I probably do 60 to 80 hours a week of this, and you have to admit to yourself that uh, it's going to take at least 2 years uh, of working for free before you get anywhere. So I don't want to scare people off, but if you're in school, if you're going to college and you do this and you just want to start, then that is a great idea. Uh, I'm in a somewhat odd situation where I need to stay home to take care of a disabled family member, and that allows me a lot of free time to play video games and review them, and that's why I'm here. Otherwise, I would go work at any potential job. You can go to a temp agency, work for one day, you would make more money than I did in this entire year. However, on that point, almost all of that money that I did make was made in the very last of the year. It took me 4 months to get $1. It took me another 2 months or so to get $2. It took me another month to get $4, another month uh, to get $4, and then it just exponentially snowballed to the point where now every week I get about $2.50, and it is growing. My goal, it would be really nice. I don't know if that's really going to happen, but my goal in 2016 is that it will get to potentially $500 a week. If it gets to that point, you're talking a realistic amount of money that you can live on. You're still probably going to be at the poverty level as far as income, but it is somewhere real, some realistic amount of income. Anyways, I was wrapping up this episode. I ask you to like, I ask you to share this video with your friends, I ask you to comment if you want to, I ask you to watch every second of my videos, and I ask you to subscribe to my channel. most of the time not in that order. I ask people to watch every second of my videos because YouTube knows how long you've watched the video. If you watch all of it, or if you go back and watch it a second time, YouTube thinks that's a good and useful video and suggests it to more people. If you watch a video for 5 seconds and then stop it, it thinks it's not a good video and stops suggesting it. The other ways people can support me is they can click on my name Rydo. That gets you to my main YouTube page. So if you just can't get to my page for some reason, it's youtube.com/c/ Rydo of all, RYDOOFALL. Uh, that's my main YouTube page. I got that URL. I was glad to get that URL. I would have preferred /Rydo by itself, but that was already taken, as it often is. It's a very short uh, name. So Rydo of all is me. When you get to my main YouTube page, on the right is a blue button that says support this channel. That's not an advertisement. You can really click that and you can donate money to me, which would be greatly appreciated. If you donate $1, I can get a game on a Steam sale for $1. That's no problem. If you donate $1,000, I can get more equipment, which is part of my goal next year. I'd like to get some more video cards in my computer to do double SLI or triple SLI. I would like to get a new microphone and a soundboard and really upgrade my audio quality as far as all of that. And also, if you just donate more money, then I have more money to play all the games. It would probably be around $500 a year to buy every single new game at $60 if you were going to play every single one of them, which is kind of my goal. Uh, so you can click that button and make a donation for any amount. Any amount is appreciated. Great. Also on my main YouTube page is a playlist tab. I make playlists. It's a little bit of extra work, but it's totally worth it to have a playlist for every single game I've covered. So if you want to see any of these games, you just click that playlist. They should be in order. Let me know in the comments somewhere if a playlist is not in order. I know my everything playlist is not in order, uh, and I really can't do anything much about that uh, because it's so huge. Uh, but I can certainly try if people tell me very detailed, this episode is way in the wrong place type information. So click those playlists. I'm sure there's something people will be interested in watching now. I've covered so many games at this point. And then finally, down below in the description box of every single one of my videos, I have social media links to Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Facebook. You can friend me on Steam, and you can friend me on Battle.net. If you follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, or uh, Facebook, then you will get tweets or notifications of some sort that of exactly when a new video comes out. If that's where you look every day to see new videos, that's very helpful, and it helps me quite a lot to have more people follow me on those services because I can then say to other companies, I'm a big time YouTube video game critic. I've got 10,000 Twitter followers, I wish, or something like that. Lots of companies want to see you have a big number there. Uh, and I have an RSS feed down in the description now too. So if you want to just get in your RSS reader or your news feeds reader when new videos come out, that is available down in the description also, which helps out. Anywho, stay stay for the uh, stay for the intro. I'm very proud of it. Thank you for sticking through this and watching this. It's been a long video of me just talking. I'm very proud of what I did this year, and I hope to do a lot better next year. I'm hoping that in 365 days time, I look back at this video and I just go, oh, this is awful. Actually, last year 2015 was not very good at all. 2016 was way better. I just want to climb up and up and up in quality if I can do it. So, thank you for watching this. Stay for the intro and have a good evening. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no feet had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.